Hey there. Hello Vintage Club. Hello everybody. Hello everybody around the world. I'm reading the comments from people from Quebec, Canada, California, Mississippi, Greece, Winchester, Wirral in the UK. Heck is down there at the bottom of my comments. Remember, my comments come in a little bit delayed from when you're putting them. Hello everybody. There's more up above. People have been joining from earlier on. Welcome one and all. As you may know, I hope you know, and I hope you got some preview materials. Today's Vintage Club, number 22, is going to be based on looking at triads yet again. Triads in the key of G. So we can call those diatonic triads because they all belong to the same key. Triads in the key of G and the G major scale. Now the G major scale is where we find these triads. You could say it's the source of the triads. So they're inextricably linked. And I've picked this key because I've pitched this one for people who are kind of around about grade 3-ish. And even if you're not there yet, you may be aware of something we call major scale pattern 1, which we'll look at in a minute. Now, Justin teaches major scale pattern 1 as part of the major scale maestro series. He does it in the key of G. So I'm trying to be consistent with what you might already know, what you might have already encountered. Hopefully, those who got the preview materials, you had a little look. Maybe you already had attended some Triad club sessions with me, or you've learned a bit about Triads. Maybe you've had a little bit of a fiddle with the Triads, with the scale, and your fingers are already familiar with what we're doing, at least. But I'm going to assume that maybe you haven't done that, and take it from like a basic level. And then in tiny little baby steps, we'll walk it up and walk it up and walk it up and increase the complexity and the scope of what we're doing, which is ideally looking towards integrating triad notes with major scale notes for playing that we could say is melodic. I'll say from the outset, it's not about learning how to play lead guitar solos and shredding. It's definitely not that. It's all about being able to have the facility and the visualization skill of tiny little things on the neck that we would call triad shapes, and the notes contained within and how they might fit into something that you would play as a melodic idea, a motif, a melodic phrase, as a chord progression is playing. Okay, so let me just check a couple of things because Fanny isn't available today, so I've not had a sound check other than what I've been able to do myself. Can I first of all ask, is my voice coming through loud and clear? Your comments on that will be delayed, so I'll ask a second question. Is my guitar coming through loud and clear? And your comments will be delayed, so I'll ask a third question also. Is this backing track, this is the chord progression we're going to be using, is this coming through loud and clear? And then if I talk over it, is that a good balance? And if I play over it, is that a good balance? If not, I can adjust something up or down. So as the comments come fly, some people are saying no backing track. You're not hearing the backing track at all. Oh, okay. Let me try that one more time. That should be coming through. Just the backing track now, nothing else. Okay, people are saying no backing track, and that is a bit of a blow because without it, we're kind of stymied. Everything is connected up with my cables here, so it should be coming through. I can hear it here. Let me just try one more button, and maybe this will fix it. Okay, from now. Fingers crossed I get some comments that say yes. Okay, I am going to have to resort to plan B, or even plan C on the backing track then. Right, while I think about how I'm going to do this, because I was relying on this and I've used it before and it worked before. Let me see if I can get my head around that. We've got a chord progression, we've got an 8-bar chord progression in the loop that's going around, and if you can't hear it, it's a problem, but I've got a version on my computer that I might be able to use, and you might be able to hear, but it's going to take me a moment to just fire that up, so if you can bear with me on that. And in the meantime, what I'm going to do is put a few slides on and actually give you a bit more about what else we're looking at and how it's going to shape up for today. Okay, so just bear with me while plan B and plan C are kind of working in the background. So let me bring this slide up. I'm going to take myself and go to that view. Okay, so there's today's lesson topic. Somebody else is saying I'm not very loud. I'm sorry, I've got my microphone volume like up max. That can't be any louder, and it's actually clipping on my thing, on my interface. So I don't know if you can make yours louder at your end for my voice. Sorry, I must say also I'm sorry. I've just recovered from a bout of tonsillitis, the first of my life, so my voice might be quiet also for that. Okay, so in today's session, G major scale pattern 1 I've mentioned. We're going to reduce the scope of it, the complexity, the depth of it, because it's a 6-string scale that you'll have learned for pattern 1. That's just too many notes. What I want not to do is say to people, right, here are 17 notes, because that's how many there are on that pattern. Learn the scale, go away and improvise and be creative. It's too much, it's too difficult, it's too open. There's no guidance. So what I want to do is reduce the size of the scale and help give you some guidance as we take the steps through using a very small selection of notes, not all of them. We're exploring these things called scale tones. Now, basically those are notes that are in the chord and in the scale. So if there is a G chord being played, and you play from the scale any of the notes that are in that chord, which are G, B, D, you are playing a scale tone. Actually, no, I should have written chord tone, I beg your pardon, chord tone. We're going to look at the triad shapes on just the 3 thinnest strings, which is where we're doing the partial scale, just the 3 thinnest strings. And then, as I said, we're looking at blending those things, the triads and the tones, and hopefully coming up with melodic ideas. Okay, there is the G major scale, pattern 1, all of it. Yeah, look at it. If you know it already, fantastic. If you've practiced it already, even better. But we're not playing all of it. We are not. I'm not even going to do it here once, because what we are going to spend our time doing is this, the partial G major scale. I've only left in one root note. So if you actually notice that the highest note and the lowest note are both note A. That's just how it is, the way it's fallen, because it's the notes on the three thinnest strings. So our first thing is to actually run this scale up and down just to get our fingers used to it a little bit. I'll leave that graphic on the screen for a moment, but then I'll come off it so you can see how I'm doing it as well. The basic premise of this is, as you're doing it as a scale, finger 1 is at fret 2, finger 2 is at fret 3, and so on. So there are 4 frets being spanned, and each finger covers one of those. So we're going to start on that root note, fret 3 on the E string, but then walk down the scale to that lowest A. We bounce off the wall. That note, we only play it once. It's like an extreme note at the lower end. So we bounce back up. Now we get back to where we started with that root note, but there's another note further up. That's an extreme of the pattern, so we bounce off it and come back down again. And that was one complete cycle. Okay, now for those of you who are not familiar with it, here's your chance to just play with that a little bit, a few times, while I do some doings in the background for plan B and see if plan B will work. Bear with me. Okay, I know you've got radio silence, for which I apologise. I've just opened up what I hope will now come through as a backing track. Let me just go back to that. Right, okay folks, if you could please tell me whether this is coming through, if you can hear this. I'm still getting no. It's a bit of a disaster today, isn't it? Okay, that was 8 bars of the backing track. I'm going to try it. So now, what I've done today, I haven't done this previously. I'm just going to remove one of my feeds in, which is an extra camera. And I wonder if that was causing the problem here. Let's try this. Is this coming through? Somebody said it's Fanny's fault. Fanny, we needed you. Okay, plan A and plan B haven't worked. Thanks for the suggestion, play it through speakers. The way that I've got everything cabled up, I haven't got speakers that would pick this up, and it's not good. So I'm going to resort to plan C, which is I'm going to play something, but to provide just the acoustic backing track for you to hear. It'll mean that what we don't get today is me playing over the backing track. Can you live without that? You probably can. It'll have to work. We'll make it work. Okay, here we go. Right. What I want us to do is go back to this partial G major scale, and we're going to play it as quarter notes. 1, 2, 3, 4. in the way that we just did, or the way I just described, starting there at the root note G, but going down to the lower A on the third string, back up to the higher A on the first string, but just keep going round until I get to the end of 8 bars. So I'm going to play that chord progression, and I'm just going to strum each chord once. I'll play full chord, I'm not going to do triads. So you're playing 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's the scale pattern. If you haven't got it memorized, I'm going to split the screen a little bit so you can see a bit of it and a bit of me. You don't really need to see too much of me because I'm just playing chords. Which view do I want? That one. Okay, so the chords I'm playing are going to be G, D, E minor, B minor, C. Where does it go next? I'm having a brain freeze. C to G, of course. A minor, and then the D. I'm going to talk about this chord progression and why I chose it in a moment. I'm going to do a 1, 2, 3, 4 count in, and that's going to be setting the tempo for you playing 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, and you just keep going 3, 4, 1, 2. Okay, hope that makes sense. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. There's our 8-bar progression. Okay. And I'm wondering if some of you already kind of heard that some of those notes are just beautiful when you land on them and the chord is doing what the chord is doing, and maybe some of the notes weren't so beautiful. I'm going to now do it again. I want you to repeat that, and this time you're going to play 2 cycles, so I'll play the 8 bars twice over, which will mean you're probably going to be landing on different notes at different times with a different chord movement. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4, and again. Keep going yourself. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. Okay. Sorry for the fumble. You might know or might not know why I fumbled on that. It's because what we're using, this chord progression, is almost a really, really famous chord progression, which is normally in the key of D. It's based on Pachelbel's canon in D. But what I've done is I've altered one chord, and that's the one that was tripping me up, thinking about, oh, where's this different chord that I put in? Now, the reason that I've changed the chord is because in Pachelbel's canon, it's only diatonic chords that are used. All the chords are in the key, but it only uses 5 of them. It uses 3 of the majors and 2 of the minors, and I wanted something that used 6 of them, 3 majors, 3 minors. Now, we're ignoring, of course, as we always do, the poor diminished chord, which in the key of G would be F sharp diminished. Bless it. So we're using all 6 chords, and what that's going to do is challenge us when it comes to making the changes with the triads, but in overcoming or certainly meeting that challenge, hopefully what we'll be better equipped to do is to play the melody notes, those chord tones that I was talking about when the time comes. Okay, let's go and look at the next thing then on the slide. Right, we're going to play something melodic, but I want it to be rhythmical. So we're doing this back to front almost, because we're working off a rhythm before we've got any notes. So this is where you're also going to be playing along with me. But we can just do this with muted strings. We don't need the chords at this point. I'm hoping that you can read that rhythm count across the 8 bars. 1, 3, 4. 1, 3, 4. 1, 3, 1. Nice and simple. Keep it simple. And it continues. 1, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's a variation in there. 1, 3, 1. So it's lots of repeating things. You can easily pick this up and learn this in no time. So we're going to do muted hits just to get this rhythm kind of working in our heads. Then we're going to go to some melody notes by way of playing single string notes with this rhythm in mind. Okay, I'll do a counting. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 3, 4. 1, 3, 4. 1, 3, 1. Keep your arm moving. 1, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 3, 1. Let's do it again. 1, 3, 4. 1, 3, 4. 1, 3, 1. 1, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 3, 1. Okay, it's dead simple. Hopefully you if you haven't already learned it, you're going to have learned it by the end of the session. Right. Now what we're going to do, this is where I really wanted the backing track. But what you're going to do then, as I play these chords, you're going to focus on just a single note at a time. You don't have to move frets or notes at all. You're staying put, playing that rhythm on a single note for 8 bars as I play the chord progression. So I'm going to be going through the chords while you're going to be, the starting note is going to be this one, the A note on the high E string. So you'll be like 1, 3, 4, 1, 3, 4, 1, 3, 1. 1, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 3, 1. Couldn't be easier. If the rhythm is still in front of you, hopefully you can read it and follow it while you're learning it still. I'm on screen, but all I'm doing, remember, is just playing these basic chords that are also on the screen. I'll do a count in and we'll do this once. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 3, 1. 1, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 1, 3, 1. Okay, that was your note A. Now in a minute I'm going to ask you to choose your favourite note and your least favourite note. I don't know where that will come, but that was the note A over all the chords. So we're working our way downwards, so the next note we're doing is G. It's the root note of the scale, it's the tonic note. Exactly the same, 1, 3, 4, 1, 3, 4, 1, 3, 1, all the way through the 8 chords to that rhythm while I play the chords. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 3, 4. 3, 4. 1, 3, 1, 3, Okay, the tonic note G. Moving down straight away. Fret 2, F sharp. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 3, 4. 3, 4. 3, 1. 1, 3, 4. 3, 4. 3. I'm wondering if people have got faces like they're sucking 11 after that one. Moving on, our next note is going to be E. Fret 5, second string. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 3, 4. 3, 4. 3. Whoa, sorry. Messed up. Start again. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 3, 4. 3, 4. 3. 1, 3, 4. 3, 4. 3. Okay. Rate that one in your mind. Think in terms of favorite, least favorite. Now we're going to the note D. Second string, fret 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 3, 4. 3, 4. 3. 1, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. I did it again. 3. Oh, I'm so sorry. That A minor. Stop catching me out. Okay. Now the note C, 5th fret, 3rd string. 1, 2, 3, 4. 3, 4. 3, 4. 3. 1. 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 3. 1. Moving on to the note B, 4th fret, 1, 2, 3, 4. 3, 4. 3, 4. 1, 3. 1. Oh, what am I doing? It's cock up night, isn't it? That's what it is. Start again on the note B. Sorry. 1, 2, 3, 4. 3, 4. 3, 4. 1, 3. 1, 3, 4. 1, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 3. 1. Finally, the note A. Now we had the note A to start. Here, we've already heard it, but you know it might be different. Might be down here. Let's give it a go for complete sake. 1, 2, 3, 4. 3, 4. 3, 4. 3. 1. 1, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 3. Okay. Right, pause, and it's time for you to get active with your typing rather than your guitaring. Favourite note, least favourite note. Favourite note and least favourite note. I wonder what we're going to get here. Just 2. Let's limit it to that. Which note worked the best for you? Which was a complete ugh. Hopefully we're going to get some comments coming in. Jim says, oh, it's gone quick. G and A. Least favourite F sharp, best was G. G and E. Favourite was D. Somebody's put most favourite was F sharp. I wonder if that was meant to be least favourite. Who knows? Favourite G. Worst was F sharp. C is kind of the best. And the worst, Rory. What's going on there? Are you living in two parallel universes where C is best and worst? That's a great one. I like that. Lots of G coming in as the best one. F sharp, I can see getting lots of mentions. Another one saying C was the least favourite, but D was the best. Okay. You would think that they would all be equally good, wouldn't you, really? Because they all just belong in the scale. What's going on? There's something quite peculiar. Maybe we can talk about this in the Q&A or chat about it in the topic, in the community topic. You might want to have your own thoughts in the chat as we're going along. Why is it, let's say that this F sharp note, people are saying that, no, I didn't like that one at all. But some people are saying G, yeah, all the way through, I loved that G, that was hanging on being just chill. All sorts of different reasons. So even though all the notes are created equal, some notes are more equal than others. It's that old adage, isn't it? And there is a thing that musicians do which can simplify life and avoid those notes that aren't quite so equal. But again, that's maybe for later. That thing that musicians do when they've got 7 notes in a scale, but some of them don't really work so well. But we're going to try and make them work well anyway, because our next thing is to look at not the chords I was playing, but the triad shapes of the chords I was playing. I want you to get familiar with those, so that's our next step. Okay. There are the 6 triads, the match the chords we've got. And I said they're all diatonic chords, all in the key of G. These are on the G, B and E strings. Now the way I've done this is the triads show the root note in red. You'll notice that for some of them it's on the 1st string, some the 2nd string, some the 3rd string. That's just inversions, don't worry about that. We have a root position, a 1st inversion and a 2nd inversion. The other notes of the triad are black, and the notes that are shown in grey are the remainder of the partial scale that you were practicing earlier. So the triad occupies 3/8 of the total. It's not quite half, but you know, it's a pretty fair chunk of the total of the scale notes are in the triad. So the chances are that if you're playing around with the scale, now and again you're going to hit a chord tone and it's going to sound great. We want to make our chances better than now and again. We want to make it so that we are hitting chord tones lots of times, especially when we want to and we choose to. That's the whole idea. Now if that's pretty small, here are the bigger versions of each one. So let's just play them as we go through them. Make your fingers form that. Hopefully you're familiar with it. A G triad. A little bar with your 1st finger on 2 strings. Ideally you want that other note to be played with finger 2, but I know some people like to use finger 3 on that one because they find it awkward to reach over with the 2nd finger. Whatever suits. These are going in alphabetical order according to the scale. So after G we've got A. It's an A minor. Now you could play that as a bar with 1st finger across all 3 strings. But if you look at the rest of your hand, if you do it with the 1st finger bar, your hand is out of position because all the other triads are behind it. So it might be that you choose at some point to go with the 3rd finger bar. It achieves the same thing. It might be that you choose to go with fingers 2, 3 and 4 in a line. Like some people play an open position A chord like that. However it suits for your hand and what context we're playing in, but that's the A minor. B minor, it's like climbing a little diagonal staircase. That's usually fingers 1, 2 and 3. The C major is first finger, first string, and then fingers 3 and 4 usually reaching up and getting over to the second and third strings. D major, of course you're gonna know that. It just doesn't have the open fourth string of a D chord, but that's what it is. E minor, if you're used to playing a D minor chord, that's the same thing, it's just 2 frets higher. So that's our 6 triads. Here they all are again on the same page. And I just want you to get used to playing them in alphabetical order to begin with. G. We're going to go to A minor. And then we're going to go to B minor. And then we're going to go to C. D. And finally E minor. Okay, that's all well and good. Hopefully we can get cracking, because this is what we're going to play. Now, my head is a little bit obscuring that final bottom left triad shape C major, but hopefully you can still see it. We're going to play once. If you're not familiar with this, if you're familiar with them, get going with some strumming and some rhythm and just enjoy doing that. But I'm doing this at the basics, remember, so I'm aiming for strumming just once per bar, each triad in this order, because this is our chord progression. It's the one that I've been messing up multiple times already today, so I need to learn it a bit better, I guess, don't I? Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, G, 2, 3, 4, D, 2, 3, 4, E minor, 2, 3, 4, B minor, 2, 3, 4, C, 2, 3, 4, G, 2, 3, 4, A minor, 2, 3, 4, D. Keep going. Let's learn this. G, 2, 3, 4, D, 2, 3, 4, E minor, 3, 4, B minor, 2, 3, 4, C, 2, 3, 4, G, 2, 3, 4, A minor, 2, 3, 4, D. Once more around the whole thing. G, D, E minor, B minor, C, G, 2, 3, 4, A minor, 2, 3, 4, D, 2, 3, 4. Let's finish off with the tonic. Okay. All good so far. Let me just come back to full screen. Quick comments then, folks. Are you ready to move on? Do you think you're familiar enough with the triad shapes and the chord progression pretty much learned as well, so that we can now look at combining triads and scale into some melody ideas? Yes, from Wolfgang. Thanks, Wolfgang. Yes, from Go on. Is that a Father Ted reference? Go on, go on, go on, says Mrs. Doyle. Okay, yeses and thumbs ups, they're coming in. So let's do it. Right, what's coming next then? Well, let's see. Moving to melodic playing. We're going to use a simple rhythm. You've already got it. 1, 3, 4. 1, 3, 4. 1, 3, 1. It's this one. 1, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 3, 1. So very simple. Just don't get caught out by that 1, 2, 3, 4. Now that 1, 2, 3, 4 in the progression, it comes on the second repeat of the G chord. That's when that one comes. We're mixing the triads and the single string chord tones. We're playing only the single string chord tones to begin with. Okay, so this is how that's going to work. We're going to form the grips, the triad grips, but instead of playing all of them, we're just going to pick a single string with the grip under our fingers. We're going to work through sequentially. We might not do all 3 strings because you're going to get the idea quite quickly, but I certainly want to do either the first string or the third string where there are 3 notes. Second string only has 2 notes. Then we're going to move into looking at melodic ideas. Okay, so is that on the next thing? Oh no, sorry, I'm lying. I do want us to play the triad, but then the single string notes. This is where we got the blending. I was jumping ahead. So the triad is played on the 1. We've got a 1 in every bar. But in some of the bars we've got extra rhythm parts, which is where we focus on just a single string and play that note and that note only whilst holding the grip. Okay. So on the G triad it would be 1, 3, 4. On the D triad, 1, 3, 4. Get the idea? You're going to do that. I'm just going to play the chords again. This is where the backing track was ideal. But I'm going to play the chords. You play triad, note, note, if there are extra notes needed for the rhythm that we're playing. Down at the bottom, that C chord has got 1, 3, 4. The G chord following it is 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4 on that G chord at the bottom. Okay, here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, we're going to do that again, and this time I want you to play triad, followed by whatever note is under your grip on the 3rd string. So it's going to start sounding like that as we go along. It should make sense, hopefully. You've got the count on screen as well. 1, 2, 3, 4. 3, 4. 3, 4. 3, 1. 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 3. Okay. Now what I want to do is exactly the same, but I'm going to ask you not to grip the triad shape. I want you to visualize it, but I want to move to single string note playing. So if we go back to that one where we played the 1st string, you started off with triad, 1st string. This time, don't grip the triad, know that it's there. Have it in your mind, but you can loosen that grip and just think, right, I'm going to be playing fret 3 on the 1st string. I could use any finger really. Go with whatever finger feels right. It doesn't even have to be the same finger as you used to practice the scale. That would have been finger 2 here. It doesn't have to be. And then when it comes to the D grip, you're not gripping it. You're just playing fret 2 with any finger that you like. So you could start off this whole thing with one finger sliding around because we're staying on the same string. Just like that. Oh, no, sorry. So E minor and the B minor, they actually use the same two notes, don't they? Fret 3, fret 2, fret 3, fret 2. Okay, I'll play this twice because it might take you a moment to adjust. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 3, 4. 3, 4. 1, 3. 1, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 1, 3, 1. We do it all again. 1, 3, 4. 1, 3, 4. 1, 3, 1. 1, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 3, 1. Okay. Same thing on the third string. And again, I chose this one because it's got three notes on it, and time means we're just skipping the B string. We're not doing that one at the moment. So when it comes to the G starting triad, where's your finger? It's at fret 4. Okay. Where does your finger go, or a different finger even, have to go for the D triad? Ah, fret 2. So you're playing single strings. Your fingering is your choice now. You don't be bounded by which finger's needed for the triad grip. And don't be thinking that it's got to be one finger per fret like the scale pattern demands. You could do that. Did that with finger 2 both times. Okay. Keep in mind the triad grip, what the shape looks like on your fingerboard. That's going to tell you where you need to go on the third string. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 3, 4. 3, 4. 1, 3, 1. 1, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 3. We'll do it again. 3. Here we go. 1, 3, 4. 3, 4. 1, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 3. Okay. Hopefully this is going well. Hopefully you're getting familiarity and you're seeing the connections between the triad that you need to be playing, or thinking about, or visualizing, or having in mind, and the fact that you're actually only playing one note from it. So the next step that we move on to is, most of these bars have got more than one note. There's only the bar at the end of the sequence where it's one note that lasts for the full bar. Most of them have got at least 2 notes, which gives us an opportunity to think, well, we could maybe play more than one note from the triad shape. And if there's 3 notes in the bar, maybe we could play 2 notes from the triad shape, but use the scale to connect them. Let's see what that looks like with the G triad. Because in this very first bar, we've got rhythm 1, 3, 4, a half note and then 2 quarter notes. So what if that was our starting note? I've gone to the second string now, even though we haven't practiced it. And I want to go from that triad note chord tone on the 1 to that triad note on the 4. Well, there's the note in between which lands on the count of 3. What if we use the scale, the partial scale? It could be, I could walk up like that, 2 notes on the B string, then landing on that hi-hat note. Or I could go to that dreaded F sharp. What about that one? Oh, sorry. In context, that might sound good. You might like that one, but you might prefer this one. 1, 3, 4. Suddenly we've got a melodic idea, a motif. And all I've done is connect 2 triad tones with another note from the partial scale. Okay? What about from the D triad? People were saying that they liked the D note. That was one of the favourites when I was asking for your favourite. What if I wanted to start on that and finish on that? I've got all sorts of choice. I could go, just went up a bit and back down to it. I could go from this one to the 3rd string. Something like that. I could make an even bigger jump, an interval jump that's more than just a scale step. Now that one, that F sharp, that should sound good over the D because it's, hey look, it's in the triad, isn't it? I'm going to go with that one. So on the G, on the D, I'm building up a melody idea, and so far I've got repetition because the rhythm is the same. I've got a slight difference in movement of the melody because I'm going all ascending here, and I'm going descending but then bouncing up again. So there's a bit of variation in there as well. Now what I've composed for you to learn from, so this is a bit like painting by numbers initially, before you are thrown into the wide open of making up your own stuff. But let's look at something that I've created for you, which is a melody based on this very idea. And what I've just played there, whoops, are the starting notes. I'm going to go to that screen actually, because what I've done there is I've got all the melody laid out in tab, and all of the notes that I've got highlighted in green, they're chord tones, they're notes in the triad shape. Even though we're not playing chord shapes and we're not playing triad grips, we're playing single string, single note lead lines of a melody. We can be aware of the fact that the notes are connected directly to the triads, and they're in the scale, of course. Okay, so this is the melody that we've got. Now, ideally, I'd be playing this to the backing track, the one you said you couldn't hear, so it's just me on my own. But once I've played it through, I'm going to play it a second time. I'll ask you to join me, and then I'm going to play it again with the chords and ask you to play over my chords. So this is just the melody. I'll kind of play it with the approximate count as well. 1, 3, 4, 1, 3, 4, 1, 3, 1, 1, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 3, 1. It's sweet enough, isn't it? I said it's a bit painting by numbers, it's kind of baby steps. It's almost nursery rhyme sweet. It might not, be setting your world alight in terms of fantastic music. But what it is doing is it's ticking all the boxes in terms of following the chords, playing a melody that sits with the chord progression underneath it. Okay, you'll find that out in a moment, hopefully. But let's just learn the melody, so I'm going to do it a bit slower. You've got the tab there. Play along with me as we go following a count of 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 3, 4. 1, 3, 4. 1, 3, 1, Do it in your own time without the pressure of me playing the chords. Just play it once or twice through. I'll give you a moment. I'm going to check the comments and have a drink while you do that. Okay, if you're just finishing off, great. We'll get into it with my guitar as your backing track next. So I'm going to leave that on the screen. I'm not expecting you to have learned that and memorized it in just 30 seconds or so. So I'm going to leave it on screen for you to read and follow along. Hopefully it's simple enough. Non-alcoholic water. I've had tonsillitis. I'm not on the alcoholic apple juice. Simple enough and basic enough, and the rhythm is far from challenging. It really is. Everything's on the beat. There isn't even anything on an and, is there? That's very deliberate on my part here. So, okay, here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 3, 4. 3, 4. 1, 3, 4. 1, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 3, 1. And again. 1, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 3, 1. 1, 2, 3, 4. 3, 1. Keep going. I'm going to strum a little bit more. Last time through. I'll simplify again. Finishing, of course, resolving on our tonic. Why not? Right. Well, folks, I had other things prepared and other things lined up. As ever, I've over-prepared, and it means that I've got some things in reserve that I can share with you as resources through the usual channels after the fact. Where do you take this? What's the idea behind this? Well, hopefully, if you get your hands on the backing track that I've created, you'll be able to step out beyond this and begin to create your own little melodic lead lines based on one simple melodic idea. So G is your opening triad. It might be that you want to start here on that string, and you want to use a different rhythm and include some ands, some of the offbeats, because let's face it, everything on a non-beat is a bit dull. And start exploring ideas and just seeing what music comes out from knowing that you're on a triad, but you're not gripping the triad you're hitting some of its notes, and the rest of the notes you're pulling from that partial scale, and it's a way in. Okay, let's go to Q&A. Let's see what we've got in comments and anything if people want to ask me things. Matt, can you comment on why and when to play triads over the major chords? Isn't that what we've been doing, Matt? When we had a G major chord, you were playing a major. I think there must be something more that I'm not quite reading into the way you've written that. Maybe re-ask that, Matt, because I'm not quite getting the meaning of what you're asking. Sorry. On Time says, it sounds like Puff the Magic Dragon. I tell you, lots of songs have used this chord progression with the twist. That A minor at the end that I put in as the penultimate bar, go into the D, that's the one I change, and in the actual chord progression that's back to a C. I saw a comment earlier, was it Heck? Said Streets of London. Yeah, Streets of London uses this progression, and I think it's in the key of G, unless he's got a capo, which I don't recall off the top of my head. Okay, so Dick is saying, I'm going to bring this one in so it doesn't rush past. On the piano, you start with a root note of a scale. Why not on the guitar? Well, you do normally. I broke the rules today. In making this partial scale, I eliminated all the three thicker strings. Now, in the G major scale pattern one, in any major scale pattern one, you've got a root note on string 6. You also have a root note an octave higher on string 4, and then you've got a third one on string 1. We lost 2 of those root notes, so we only had this one. And I was saying, let's start on it and end on it, but because it's almost at the top of the pattern in terms of pitch, we'll work down over first before we climb back up. And finish on it as well. I could have included that root note on string 4, and we could have climbed up from that as the lowest. But we didn't have triads on that string, so I excluded it on purpose. You're right, normally when you practice a scale, you go from lowest root note up, back down, and all around again. Having said that, Justin has changed his mind in terms of his blues immersion course. He's been teaching the A minor pentatonic from its highest notes in the pattern. So we were kind of in keeping with that also. So long as you're starting and ending on the root note, so you're not losing track of what the root note is, everything should be fine. Okay, Rory's saying that the verse chords of Puff the Magic Dragon are a fit, so I'm guessing the chorus isn't, but the verse is. Great to know that. Did I miss the questions pre-submitted? There weren't any, Chip. If you've got a question, ask it now. Okay, this might bring us onto something that I hinted at, but I certainly didn't even make any mention of. How do triad notes differ from using the pentatonic notes? When we were doing the hammering a single note over the entire 8 bars, and you were learning that some of them are sweet and some of them are sour. Far and away, the notes that people were saying was the worst was F sharp, I think. And even Rory, who said it's sometimes the best, also said it's sometimes the worst. is the note C. C and F sharp, well, they hold particular places in the G major scale. And those places are scale degrees of 4 and 7. And they're kind of awkward notes. And there is a thing called a pentatonic scale, a major pentatonic scale. What does it do? It takes a 7-note major scale and it removes the 4, it removes the 7. It says, you're just awkward, I don't want to have to deal with you. I'm going to make my life easy, be gone. So a major pentatonic doesn't have the 4 and the 7. Triads differ from the pentatonic scale because if you've got 6 triads from the scale, majors and minors, you are hitting every scale note at some point or other. So it's not excluding any notes. We excluded a chord, a triad, which was the diminished, but we didn't exclude any notes. Oh, thank you. Good night, Carlos. Yeah, we've gone a little bit over, so anybody who is hanging back, that's great. Thank you, and I'll try and do some more questions if they come. Dawn is saying, not losing track of the root note makes a lot of sense. Yeah, if you lose track of the root note, then it's like you're in free floating in space, no gravity type of thing. The root note grounds you. So you want to always know what it is and how to get back to it and what it sounds like. Is it joppy or yoppy or yop? I hardly ever use triads. Let me bring that in and see the rest of it. But I often hear people say that they often play triad chords on electric guitar. Can you explain something about that? Have you missed my previous triad clubs? I think this is number 5 I've done on triads. Which reminds me, damn, I've missed the opportunity now, I guess, haven't I? I thought of I invented a new word for the lexicon of the musical language. I did share it in one of the WhatsApp groups, so people have seen this, I think. I do like triads. I must admit that my feeling for triads is so strong that you could say that I adore them. I have adoration for triads. Tri-adoration. Triad's great. Electric guitar, well, I'm obviously sitting on my acoustic today, but it's no different really. Other than if you're playing on an electric, you might do triads and other electric-y things like string bending. But check out the archive for Vintage Club, because I've got at least 1 or 2 with a video recording as well. Some of them were done before we were doing the recordings being published, but there's resources there. I've done them before. Thank you. Okay, what's this about? Jim Campolongo? I hope nobody's comparing me to that level of playing, because I am nowhere near. He explains this very well. He's a good friend of Justin's. Spanish Eyes comes into it as well. Yeah. So I'm sure Jim does use triads, and he is a good friend of Justin, and I'm sure he can play them standing on his head, because he is a skilled musician indeed. Okay, this from Chip. Well, this is good to read, Chip, and I'm glad about this. Moving from arpeggiating the triads, so that chord progression, what Chip means is I'm just arpeggiating them. I could arpeggiate them in a different rhythm. I was just playing 8ths there, whereas I was playing like delayed notes earlier. But you're not doing anything else. You're not branching out and breaking the shape of the triad. You're not busting out of the mold, as it were, and dragging into your play any of those other scale notes. So for all it's going to sound wonderful as an accompaniment part. It's also going to be limited in scope because you're not bringing in extra flavors and spices. So thank you for saying that that's helped you a little bit. Okay, Barney, might be able to do the extra material you mentioned. You have it in a second session. It's been great so far. You want more, and you want like an extension. So do another triad session that follows on this one instead of throwing it out into the world and saying do it yourself. You would like another session on that? Oh, okay, I'll consider it. I've got so many topics that I feel like I oughtn't to repeat things too often, and I've done triads a lot actually. If there's a demand for it, I could do them again. Okay, people are saying good night and thank you, so if you have to leave, totally understand it, and thank you for attending. This coming in as a follow-up to Chip's question. So yeah, it's basically saying, look, the scale has got 7 notes, the triad's got 3. Branch out and make use of that extra capacity that's there. Not all of the 7 notes are gonna sound great, as you discovered, but some of them will, and those are the ones that you can really use and dwell on. But even the ones that kind of a bit iffy, they might be good stepping stones. Like we said on this G triad, I wanted that note and that note, but I wanted something between them. So I needed a stepping stone, a connector. I chose that note. Scale note, not a triad note. I could have gone that way. Scale note, F sharp, not a triad note. So absolutely, that's what it's all about. Okay, is this something that I can have a go at from Sai? Mentioning the major pentatonics. They get rid of the 4th and 7th, yeah. Making it irrelevant whether we use them over a major chord, say, whether it's a 1, 4 or 5 chord. You can use the major pentatonic over a major key progression that includes minor chords. So it's not an exclusively major chord progression scale just because it's named the major pentatonic. It's named that because it's a derivative of the major scale. It's a subset of it, but it's not exclusively for major chord progression. So you're mentioning the 1, 4, 5. So G, C, D. Yeah, loads and loads of songs use those major chords only, and you could use major pentatonic over them. But even if you had 1, 4, 5, 6, you could still try and use major pentatonic even though there's a minor chord there. That's for another day. A great improvised session. Oh, thank you, Lisa. Yeah, it was a tiny bit on the hoof because we didn't have this backing track with the lovely drums and bass and chords and everything going on. So I had to. Can I blame the fact that I was doing it on the hoof for messing all those chords up at the start? I think I need an excuse. I will share the backing track. I will definitely do that. I'll share 2 versions of it. One of them that is like one I created on a looper device, and one of them that I created in Guitar Pro that's got more voices and tracks on it. We're nearly at the end. I would have thought. A couple of people are saying they want more on this. So, okay, I will bear that in mind. You're very kind and generous in wanting more of this and more of me as well, I guess. The comments have expired at that, I think. So, shall we call it a night? or a day, or an evening, or wherever you are in the world. We're 15 minutes over. I'm going to go and get something to eat and relax for the evening now. Great to see you, great to have you all on board. If you've got questions to follow up, if you've got more things you want to ask, there's a community topic already that Fan has created in the usual place of clubs, the subsection of clubs, and I will see you all there. Okay, cheers now, bye bye.